Our next speaker is a past candidate for governor, Congress, state attorney general, and agriculture commissioner. Gatewood Galbraith is a native of Kentucky. He's been a practicing attorney and he's a registered independent. I read something that Gatewood wrote many years ago and I thought it was appropriate. It was called Prove Me Wrong, and he said this. He said, I read an editorial in a Kentucky paper several months ago decrying the lack of statesmen within Kentucky and wondering aloud why men and women of high principle are not drawn into politics and the electoral process. Why it seems that only the wealthy are able to offer themselves for public office. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, the state persons of Kentucky, just like the solutions to the problems of Kentucky, may very well be right before your eyes. But my question, he said, is this. Would you recognize them if they did present themselves to you? I, for one, would recognize a statesman when I see him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gatewood Galbraith.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jim. As somebody who stood out on a lot of street corners out the last 38 years holding signs talking about this, let me tell you just how grateful I am that you folks have come out and joined this great battle to continue the American experiment where human beings are actually given value and worth, and the laws of the land are supposed to uphold that value and worth.
Yes, sir.
This tax issue is the tip of the iceberg. The fact is that the whole American way of life is under attack right now. The whole American way of life. And this is part of a grand plan. The people in charge right now have computers that process 1 billion bytes of information a second. You think they don't know what's going on? You think they don't know what they're doing? Let me try to give you a slight overview here. Before the Constitution came about, before the American Revolution, we were all property. That's what you were property. You belonged to the king or the queen or the local warlord or whoever had the most gunpowder in the valley. And if they brought you in and said off with your head, you were let off and you were beheaded. There was nobody to intercede on your behalf. But our founding fathers, in a moment of exquisite genius, decided that they were going to start their country and get rid of that kind of fascism and make it a rule of law. And in order to set the policy and the philosophy behind it, they recognized that our Creator endowed us with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not the government, but our Creator gave us that worth and that value. And the government wasn't to mess with it. And in order to ensure that philosophy, they wrote a law that was supposed to keep the government off the backs of the people, and it's called the Constitution.
Yes, sir.
The Constitution was written to limit government.
Yes, sir.
To take it out of the all-powerful, the warlords, the kings and the queens, and that fascism.
You got it.
And to limit their power and leave all other powers to the people and to the states.
Yes, sir.
And since its inception, it has been whittled at and gnawed at and belittled and expanded by special interests who want some sort of favor underneath it. And the government can only grow at the expense of the people. All that land and all that stuff that used to be the people's, when the government gets bigger, it's taking over land and territory and determinations that have been reserved to the people. And nowadays, when the New Deal legislation came in, it hit rocket size. The rockets took off on big government, and it became a new deal between business and government, but the people were left out of the negotiation. And since that time, our rights and our liberties have been under extreme attack, and right now, today, the United States of America and the way of life and the sovereignty of each and every one of you is under greater attack and in more peril than it has been in all the past times since World War II.
It's true.
We don't have an enemy dressed in some other colored uniform than us right now. We have them dressed in coats and ties, and they're sitting up there in Congress, and they're your representatives and your senators. They have sold us out. Both parties, Democrats and Republicans, have been bought out by big special interest money on a national and a local basis. Big special interest money given to them by people who have never said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America or to the republic for which it stands. And they're not warm and fuzzy about us or our children or our grandchildren. And they see the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as impediments to the implementation of a new world order and global economy. I can identify them for you. It's no mystery. I call them the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, fascist, elite SOBs. That's who I call them. And both parties, and most of them in both parties, are bought off by them. I mean, on behalf of the people, you bring a program up there that's actually going to benefit the people, and they stare at it like hogs looking at a wristwatch. They can't comprehend. It reminds me of a story. I was walking along the street the other day, and there was a big high fence right there, and there was a mental asylum over on the other side. And as I'm walking along the street, I hear them chant 13, 13, 13. And I said, well, what the heck is that? So I saw a little hole in the wall, and I went to put my eye up to it, and somebody poked me in the eye with a stick. And I was falling to the ground. They started chanting 14, 14, 14. That's exactly what you Democrats and Republicans do every time you vote the party. You're walking alongside the party, elect us, elect us, elect us. Well, let's see who they got up now so I can vote for them. You put your eye up there, they go, pow. And you fall to the ground, they go, elect us again, elect us again, elect us again. How long are you going to fall for it? How long are you going to do it? I'm telling you what, folks. To me, neither party is going to produce a candidate who's the solution to the problem. The party won't advance them to that point if they're the solution to the party. Look at Governor Blagojevich up there. I mean, what a notoriously unworthy public servant he was that he got office because the party promoted him. I asked him, couldn't you tell by the hair? My God. I knew by the hair the minute I saw him. But it's the parties who advance those kinds of people. So I know that this is a nonpartisan situation, and I've ticked off a lot of Republicans because I pointed out they're the ones who've both been put a stop to this stuff. And the 1994 Republican Revolution, term limits and lower taxes, they got up there and were promptly compensated to forget that stuff. But let me tell you what the greatest threat right now, and this taxation is a part of it, is they're taking away our liberties and taking away what makes the United States great. There's no other citizens in the world that live in a nation that have the same due processes and constitutional guarantees and freedoms we do. And they want to make us a one world. They want to abolish our borders. They want us to accept people who aren't citizens. They want to make us one world. In order to do that, let me fill you in on this. In 1992, Gene Strong, head of the Council for Economic Development here in the state of Kentucky, the one who gives away the tax breaks so that big corporations here, said publicly, I have a plan for every Kentuckian. By the year 2012, 80% of Kentuckians are going to be earning $8 an hour. That's been your official growth policy in the state of Kentucky, under Democrats and Republicans. Folks, this time we took it back. I don't think the parties are going to do it, so I think it's time we launched an independent candidacy. I'm looking at the 2011 governor's race. I appreciate this. That's enough that I'm going to say about my own politics, except for this. Vote both parties out. Neither one of them deserve the office. Thank you very much.
I saw the sign that said, stop walking on the Constitution. Instead, we're trampling on the Federal Regulation Code today. That's great. Folks, I got so excited at that speech, I forgot to get my stuff ready here.